Thank you for choosing Morning at NTV this Monday, the 25th day of April. Joining me on Everyday Life are two research fellows from ACODE, Dr. Susan Kavuma and Mr. George Bogere. Welcome to Everyday Life. Now, we are discussing the national budget for 2016, a policy dialogue that is being conducted by ACODE. Am I correct?
Yes.
Let me start by asking, do citizens really have a say in the national budget that we hear being read around June, July every year?
Yes, citizens have a say in the national budget, but it is within the parameters of the macroeconomy, but also the policy objectives of government. So, in as far as the citizens can voice their concerns, they have to be taken within that context of macroeconomic stability as well as government policy objectives.
Does that not already sound like a disclaimer from government saying, okay, yes, you Ugandans, you tell us what you want, but within our parameters as government and within macroeconomic stability, and, you know, isn't that a disclaimer already?
It's not a disclaimer, but it's just the reality that government faces, or anyone who is a policymaker. There are always parameters within which you have to act. It is not a blank check.
It's not a blank check. Dr. Susan, did you want to say something?
Yes, I think it is not a disclaimer. Citizens are given an opportunity to give their input through civic engagement, through the local government. And yeah, it's better somebody speaks than somebody being quiet and then there's nothing you can pick out from what they have said. So it's better they talk, and then it's upon government to analyze the issues and consider those that fall within the national planning framework. Okay, so I guess the million-dollar question is how can a citizen get their voice heard? How can they weigh in on the 2016-17 budget? From wherever they are, from Kabale, Koboko, here in Kampala, how do they do that?
They can do that in various ways. To start with, we have the budget conferences that are organized at district level, and citizens can take part in that. But also there's a national budget conference where representatives of the citizens represent them. We also have a number of other platforms that have been organized by government, by civil society organizations, but also the dialogue that we are talking about today that is going to be organized, that is organized by ACODE and Ministry of Finance, which is taking place tomorrow, is another opportunity for citizens to bring their views to the discussion table.
Okay, so any view basically, if you want more money for your hospital, you want more money for education in your district, it's open? Whatever issue you have, you can just bring it forward?
Whatever issue you have, you can bring it forward. But also, during the discussions, we'll be hearing from eminent speakers, as well as the Ministry of Finance itself. And therefore, you can talk about anything, but also you can comment about those presentations that will be made. Now,
for the dialogue that is happening tomorrow, you actually have a particular hashtag.
Yes.
Would you mind sharing with us that hashtag?
It is Budget Dialogue 2016.
Hashtag Budget Dialogue 2016. Okay, now that we have, budgets have been read, every year we have budgets here and there. How can citizens access information, previous information from on the mechanics of spending and accountability?
The Ministry of Finance has a website where it posts budget information. Citizens can go to that website and get budget information. ACODE has a budget database that is online. Citizens can also use that. The two are linked in a way. We also have a link to the one of Ministry of Finance. But also, we have our budget champions who are at grassroots in 26 districts where we work. And those can also provide budget information to the citizens.
Did you mention 26 districts?
Yes.
Out of 112?
Yes.
That's like, what, a fifth?
That's about 30%, but that is for ACODE's efforts. There are other organizations that are covering other districts.
Okay, because I was about to say that, you know, when you talk about the Ministry of Finance having something on the website, that information may be available, but is it easily understandable?
The information may not be easily understandable, and that's why organizations like ACODE are going a mile further to make sure that you have more simplified budget information available, but also that you have budget champions who are equipped with the skills to navigate these platforms, because sometimes they're also very challenging to do so. So they can help the citizens navigate, but they can also extract information from these databases.
Okay.
Other organizations are doing other things as well to help with that problem.
Okay. Dr. Susan, I'd like to ask you about the policy dialogue that will be happening tomorrow. What do you see happening at that dialogue? What can people expect from it?
In the dialogue, we are going to discuss the proposals in the budget of 2016-17, and we are going to have the Treasurer, Minister of Finance, speaking, giving a speech. We are also going to have topics, discuss the proposals by panelists. So we are going to pick out highlights on issues to do with taxation, allocations to different sectors, and how revenue is going to be collected. So viewers and participants will get information, and we expect them to react on what has been presented, to discuss what the issues, the proposals that are given in the budget.
Okay, so things are not yet cast in stone?
No, not
it's
really.
Discussion.
Yes. It's a discussion since the process is still ongoing of finalizing the budget. So we hope that whatever views will be presented, you know, the Ministry of Finance may pick up a few issues that they can incorporate in the budget before it is finally passed by Parliament.
You know, I find this very hard because we are always reading in the press about, you know, budget money being probably unspent, and then you have in some districts, that's what they say, money is returned, and then sometimes we hear, you know, people going for supplementary budgets all the time, and we just see it on TV, and the role of the citizen is negligible. So is this worthwhile? Should someone actually come to spend time, you know, for those who have been invited, should they actually go there? And for those who will be tweeting, will there be any change?
Change takes time, and there's going to be change. Actually, there are already a number of gains that have been registered. For the first time, we've seen the Ministry of Finance acknowledging contributions and suggestions from civil society organizations, which we think represent the people. Of course, we can debate that, but for the first time we see, you know, their proposals being taken on board. About the supplementaries and certain agencies not spending their monies, citizens also have a responsibility to monitor public expenditure. And if they did that, then we would be able to tackle that problem at the source, other than it being retrospective after the Auditor General has established that money was not spent or was misused. So citizens also have to monitor the budget.
Now, that's very interesting that you mentioned that, because how can citizens really ask for accountability from government?
Yeah, I think citizens have an opportunity to ask for accountability using the local government structures. Yeah, the local government is supposed to monitor public expenditure, whatever the sector. And then citizens are supposed to report to their councillors, you know, so that they inform them of what is happening on the ground. And then they can take those views up to the center. Because what you mentioned, the issue that, you know, some sectors return money, you know, that is the issue of implementation. I know it's a challenge implementing some of these proposals, but we need to look at the sectors. How come this sector is not able to absorb this money? The major culprit of such an occurrence has always been the procedures, procurement procedures that sometimes take too long. So perhaps there is need also to review the procurement procedures to ensure that sectors are able to absorb the funds that they are given.
Okay, we have heard of cases, where they say, State House or maybe Defense have asked for so much more, and then it's all classified. Do you get to know what is in that classified?
No. You never get to know what is classified.
Yeah, but now if they come to you, if the Ministry of Defense comes and says, we need so much of the national cake, what can you as civil society do?
Of course, there's been concern about how transparent the budget can be. The government has already opened up, and as you probably have seen, Uganda scores very highly on the budget transparency index. However, certain areas still remain. So even where you have classified expenditure, we expect that maybe not the entire public can be privy to these figures, but then there has to be a certain, structure that can scrutinize that kind of expenditure so that it's accountable in a way. Even when it is classified, it is still accountable expenditure.
Okay. Something I'm sure that people will definitely want to know. We have just concluded general elections here in Uganda, and the reports in the press of how much was spent, the figure is just, mind-boggling. How is that going to impact the budget, as well as the global recession?
Yeah, we think it's going to affect the budget because a lot of money has been poured in, and therefore, the inflation going up, and then Bank of Uganda coming out to try and contain the situation by raising its interest rate. So the economy is likely to struggle in the short term, perhaps even affecting economic activity, because we realize that there was a reduction even in capital flows and investments. Most likely there was capital flight because of the scare and the uncertainty that surrounded the election process. So the economy is likely to struggle in the short term, and perhaps there may be cuts here and there, and failure to honor some pledges in the budget. So in the short term, we're likely to struggle and realize shortfalls here and there.
Okay. So as we conclude, I would like to ask you, Dr. Susan, before we go to Mr. Bogere, what would your final words be to the everyday Ugandan watching?
Everyday Ugandan, I want to encourage them to participate in tomorrow's dialogue. This is an opportunity for citizens to engage government. It's a rare opportunity, just as you raised your concern. So I encourage people to tune in tomorrow. The dialogue is going to be live here on NTV. So please tune in, use the social media, give your concerns, and then they'll be heard.
Okay. Mr. Bogere?
Yeah, beyond the dialogue, I would urge Ugandans to be engaged with public expenditure, follow up the budget, ensure that services delivered. Where wastage is taking place, they should report. The avenues to report are there. They may not be as effective as we want them to be, but they're there, and we need to exhaust them as we wait on better methods coming online.
Well, thank you very much. I've been speaking to Dr. Susan Kavuma and Mr. Bogere from ACODE. They are research fellows, and you can have your say with the national budget. #national budget, #budget dialogue 2016. The discussion will be taking place at Protea, but you can take part in it on Twitter, and your voices, as they have promised, will definitely be heard, and concerns you may have will be made known to the Ministry of Finance. Darren and Derek will be up next with sports, and I'm sure they'll be talking about the Algerian Mahrez, who did take Footballer of the Year.